Do you want the next 90 days to be the best that you've ever had? I believe it can be. And it's not going to happen by accident. It's going to require some intentional action upon your part. There's some things that I like to do on a weekly basis that help me to try to have, those good weeks, those good months, and good quarters, which obviously lead into having the best year yet. So, I'm going to share some of those things that I do, and hopefully it can be a tool and a help to you. Now, I've broken these down into three different areas. It's my general, it's marriage and family, and personal and professional. And I will be sharing about 5 things under each of these sections. So let's dive in. All right, we're going to start with the general things. And the first one under the general is simply this: stretch your thinking. You may say, what? How do you quantify this? What do you mean by this? Well, it's quite simple. I heard a statement one time that simply said this: always be doing things to expand your worldview. Expanding your worldview doesn't mean that it's changing who you are, it's just making you more aware of how other people think, how other people operate. And that can be in a cultural, in a leadership, in all types of ways. And so, on a regular basis, I like to stretch my thinking, whether that's through books and through podcasting, through conversations, and whatever the resource may be, to help me have a bigger worldview of those around me. And so, the first thing is simply that: hey, next 90 days, put intentional actions on your calendar that help you to stretch your thinking. The second thing is simply this: guard your mindset. I believe that there's two different types of mindset in our world, and that is a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. And we live in this tension every day of whether I'm going to go to a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. See, a fixed mindset is like, this is the way we've always done it, and I'm not changing it. And this is the way it's going to be. It's just very fixed. It's very concrete. A growth mindset is willing to take a look at it. It's willing to stretch their thinking. It's willing to look outside the box, so to speak, and to think in bigger realms. And so you can have those relationships, you can have all types of things that can influence you to try to keep you in a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. And so on a weekly basis, I'm constantly analyzing this and almost daily, like, okay, I got to guard my mindset. I know where I want to be, know the path that I need to get there, who I need to become, and guarding my mindset to accomplish that. May sound very general, which is what we're talking about, but it's a very key thing I think that can help you have the best next year ever. So stretch your thinking and guarding your mindset. The third thing is this: is analyzing systems. I think James Clear says you don't fall, to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. And I'm constantly looking at my personal systems, my professional systems, and what I mean by systems is just the rhythms and the things that I have in place, the processes that help me to accomplish things. Those can be, okay, how do you check your email? How do you go about scheduling different things? And just having a system and a process for a variety of things helps you to have less brain fatigue and helps you to be more productive. And so I'm constantly analyzing, okay, how do I automate this? How do I streamline this? And to be more productive and to accomplish more and be the person that I need to be. So stretch your thinking, guard your mindset, and analyzing systems. Now, a fourth one in this general area is eating habits. Man, it is so easy if you are very motivated and locked in on trying to accomplish a goal that you can let your health and your wellness just go to garbage. Well, I believe that we should steward this very well and that we should be careful on our eating habits. And so I try to do this on a regular basis. And in our family, we try to live and eat a very whole foods diet. And so why? Because I'm protecting my energy. It's trying to make sure that I am putting the right fuel in my body so that I can have better output. So want to have the best year ever? You want to have the best 90 days ever? Then maybe take a look and analyze your eating habits and put some things in place there. And the fifth and final thing is this is always focusing on what matters most. And you say, wow, that's so random. Well, here's what I mean, that it's easy to get distracted in this life. And especially if you're trying to be intentional, there's always going to be distractions. And so with what matters most, this is a kind of a mantra even in our family, is that's why what we want to do every day is focus on what matters most. And that can be both in our faith, that can be in our professional life and in our relationships. It's focusing on what matters most. Now, what comes along with this is another important thing, and that is managing our energy. You've ever been around those individuals that you just leave there and you just felt like, whew, you get in the vehicle or you walk away and you just feel like you have this weight on you? Yeah, I get it. That's because you need to manage your energy and maybe need to be around less of those type of people. And so to do that means you're going to focus on what matters most. And it's one thing to say what matters most and another thing to live what matters most. Our calendars should show what matters most in our life. Our bank accounts should show what matters most. You want to have the next 90 days to be the best you've ever had, then focusing on these things perhaps could be a help. That's stretch your thinking. It's guarding your mindset. It's analyzing your systems or the lack thereof. And it's your eating habits and focusing on what matters most. All right, moving into our marriage and family, and some 5 different things that I do on a weekly basis in this area of marriage and family. First one is having a designated family time. Every evening I try to have a set time that I'm not working, I'm not trying to focus and trying. I say trying. It's like I'm not perfect, but to be that fully present dad with my children and with my wife. And so it's by being fully present with my kids does actually give my wife a little break. And so it's having that designated family time. And for me, that designated family time goes into another rhythm that I do, and that is I put the kids to bed each and every night, and tuck them in and make sure they have their water bottle that they like to have, and say a prayer with them, and that's just part of that rhythm. So it's designated family time is first, but it's also the second thing is having these rhythms and tucking the kids in. And another rhythm that I do, and my kids remind me, is every Saturday it's dad's big slam breakfast. I forget what they call it, something like that. And that's when I cook breakfast. Sometimes it's very simple, but it's something that they actually look forward to. And it has been a rhythm that I have put into my life of designated family time, number one. Second thing is having these rhythms throughout the week, putting them into bed at night. And then on Saturdays, cooking them breakfast. And sometimes they're trying to help me as well. So it's kind of a fun thing. A third thing is we always have one meal around the table. As the leader of the family, this is a non-negotiable that we put in, and just say, you know what, I'm to focus on what matters most. We are having one meal around the table. It's become one of our family pillars of the table, and a lot of transformation can happen around that. So it has been very, very neat to see that rhythm unfold. And we have different things that we do throughout the week. Like Friday night, we like to have candlelight around the table, and the kids just absolutely love it. And then, so it's just become a really, really cool thing. So another one is simply this: every day I try to have 10 focused minutes with each child. Now, I'm not setting a timer and being like, okay, 10 minutes is up, but it's taking the time, intentional time. And sometimes that's in the morning. If my little boy is up early, he likes to come and sit on my lap when whatever I may be doing, it goes on pause. And I sit there till he likes and feels fulfilled and hops back down. 10 minutes, giving them each child 10 minutes. I have 3 kids, so it's about 30 minutes a day. You may say, well, that's not very much. Well, it's what works for in my life and the rhythm right now. And you can adjust accordingly. But giving those 10 focused minutes has been a really cool thing. And then a final thing is simply this: is having a weekly meeting with the spouse, with my wife. And this is keeping us on the same page. Sometimes it may happen on a date. Sometimes it happens on a Sunday afternoon. Sometimes it can happen different things. It's very hybrid for us. And so it's just been a very important thing to making sure we know, hey, this is what's coming up this week. Here's what we need to focus on. Here's what we got to accomplish this week, and it has helped us to have that communication line that is very, very important. So to recap here in this area of marriage and family, 5 different things that I do every week is having a designated family time where I'm not working, not just doom scrolling. It's having one meal around the table. It's having 10 focused minutes per child each day, weekly meeting with the spouse, and then having those rhythms of tucking the kids in bed or and cooking breakfast on Sunday or Saturday, and helps create this idea of focusing on what matters most and to have the best year ever. Because this is what I've discovered: if your family life is in chaos, the professional life is going to be in chaos too. So for me, I want to focus on making sure the home life is intact, the home life is operating in a peaceful manner, and that I know that we are on the same page. All right, the final area here is the personal and the professional life. And I'm going to give you once again 5 things that I do in my personal and professional life to keep me on focus and on track. And so the first one is simply this: every day I want to practice gratitude. And this comes in a variety of forms. For instance, there's many mornings that I wake up before my wife does. And so before I even get out of bed, sometimes I'll put my hand on her shoulder. Other times I just lay there and I thank God for another day that I get to get up and go do what I do. And then I'm also thank God for my wife. And like, God, thank you, and help her, give her strength this day. Practicing gratitude, because it's very hard to go through your life angry and just depressed when you're truly practicing the gratitude. And then I've done a variety of different things. Do a gratitude journal. You could do the 5 minute journal. A lot of different things that can help you to foster this rhythm and this practice of gratitude. And you say, well, is it really that important? Well, I've studied and read after a lot of different leaders, and one thing that's been common in all of them, they practice gratitude and that they get to do what they do. So, one of the things that I do every day is practicing gratitude, not just in the morning, but even throughout the day. Now, a second thing is this: is I practice the daily 5. And you say, what is this? Well, allow me to explain. These are just 5 non-negotiables that I try to do every day that helps me in a lot of these other ways of stretching my thinking, keeping my mind where it needs to be in a growth mindset, and even help me analyze systems and be a better dad, a better husband. And it's doing these 5 different things. So those 5 things are simply this that I have come up to that I try to live by. The first one is meditate every day. I try to meditate, and sometimes my gratitude time is in that meditation. But there's different ways to meditate. I mean, you can, whether it's reading a book or it's using an app. Right now I use Chat GPT to create and send me every morning. It gives me a whole breakdown that I have trained it to do of a principle that I need to focus on for the day. It gives me a meditation to go through that is time stamped, and it gives me a scripture and a faith component, and then a challenge for the day that I have used that helps me to stay on track. So meditate is a huge, huge thing in my life. The second thing is simply this: is read every day. I want to read, and sometimes that's on the phone. I'm reading on an app from my local library, or I'm reading a book. But try to get at least 10 pages in a day is the goal of just helping to feed my mind and my thinking, stretch my thinking. So every day it's reading. Every day is learning something new. Every day is learning something new, whether it's a tactic, it's a framework that can be implemented into my business, into my life. And so every day, want to have and foster this curiosity of learning. And then the big one is create. every day. I don't want to just be a consumer, but I want to be a creator. I want to create things that help things, people, just like this video here is to create, to help people be the best version of themselves and to live out the purpose that they were placed on this earth for. So the final one is to move, and that's just being active. And sometimes this comes in the form of the exercise. Other times I'm throwing hay bales out in the barn and taking care of the various livestock that we have on our property. And other times it's going for a walk. It's just moving, getting the body to move. And so these are the daily 5: meditate, read, learn, create, and move that I practice each and every day. The third thing that I do on a weekly basis is always looking for ways to buy back my time. Buy back my time. This has been a huge thing over the last couple years, and it really spurned out of COVID when we had different things that caused us to reorient and how we went about things. But buy back my time, and what this simply means is understanding that the thing that I never get more of is time. We all have the same amount of time every day. Now, how we utilize that time is up to us. So I look at ways to buy back my time. And so if I can pay somebody to get that time back, then I will do that. For instance, in COVID, this was the most amazing thing I remember when it happened the first time. I was like, this is amazing, is when the grocery pickup thing was really pushed because people didn't go in the stores. And so I literally, my wife would place the order, I'd stop by the store, and in 5 minutes, I'm in the parking lot. They've loaded my groceries in and I'm on my way. Yeah, I pay a little bit more, but I bought back my time. Now, if you're the kind of person that likes to go in and choose your produce and all that, hey, more power to you. That's great. But for me, that was a way to buy back time. And that can come in so many different ways of getting, if you're able to provide, to hire someone to clean your house, or it's to hire an executive assistant. And what is it doing? It's freeing up your time so that you can focus on what matters most and drives more profitability and revenue and things that really matter in your life. So the buy back your time is been a big changer in my life, and tried to practice that on a weekly basis. A fourth thing is weekly reflection. This is key. Looking back at last week, and this usually happens like on a Sunday afternoon, looking back at the last week and seeing what went well, what didn't go well, what did I accomplish, what did I not accomplish, why didn't I accomplish it? Weekly reflection has been a game changer over the last few years, and to help me to be able to go into the next week more prepared. And so if you don't have a time that you are just setting in part, and it doesn't have to be very long, but where you're just looking back, and analyzing and looking at what went well, what didn't, then I would highly encourage you to put that into your weekly rhythm. So we've talked about gratitude, the daily 5, buy back your time, weekly reflection. And the final one here, as we wrap this up, is what is, some have labeled it different things, it's simply the big 3. And knowing that every day that you start your work, and whether you work for somebody, for yourself in a corporate job, or you're able to be working from home, is knowing what are the 3 big things that you need to do each and every day to move, whether it's your business forward, your objectives forward, but just knowing that these are what I have to focus on. Now, it's not that you get up in the morning and just figure these things out, but what I've discovered is sitting down the night before I go to bed. Sometimes you got to do a brain dump, and just so I can have a good night of rest, and practicing that. But it's writing down, these are the 3 things that need to move the business forward, to move my life forward, move my family forward the next day. And then I can have a variety, a laundry list of different tasks. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on those 3 big things. Those, sometimes they're hard, but I'm going to block my time the next day to focus on those 3 things that are going to move things forward. It is a game changer. And it also helps when you get down to the end of the week and you say, how did I do on my daily big 3? Did I move things forward? And so There's a variety of tools that you can utilize to help you with this, but it's the main thing is just knowing that when you get up in the morning, you already know what you need to do because you have already written it down the night before. And so those are just some things that I do in my personal and professional life. So try to practice gratitude, the daily five, meditate, read, learn, create, and move. Buying back my time in a professional sense. And then it's weekly reflection, and then always having the big three for that day to move things forward. So these are just a few things that I try to do on a weekly basis to help me to keep moving forward in my personal life, professional life, in my family, my marriage, and then just some general things to keep me focused on what matters most and being intentional. And so I hope this can be a help to you. Love to hear your comments or things that maybe you've implemented and how they have worked. And that way you can have the next 90 days be the best that you've ever had.